Hi, welcome back, guys. This is your friend the Momo Fanfics back with amazing fanfiction. This is this series of What If Deku Bullied by Others for Being Quirkless. Back at the League of Villains hideout. GRRR, we lost. All Might isn't weak at all. You were wrong, Sensei, shouted Shigaraki at the monitor. Now, Shigaraki, it seems we have bitten more than we chew. Rise up, Shigaraki, and try again, it is not the end, said All for One calmly. Midoriya and Kirigiri were at the bar listening in on the conversation. If it wasn't for Deku, we could have killed All Might. He held me back, scowled Shigaraki as he shot a glare at Midoriya. Midoriya in turn just stared back at Shigaraki with cold eyes. If it wasn't for me, we would all be in jail or dead, Shigaraki, Midoriya responded. Shigaraki, had it not been for Deku, you would now be in the hands of heroes. Deku is unlike other villains. He provides us a tactical advantage over the heroes with his quick thinking. Tamura. Deku, I thank you for accompanying Tamura. All for One explained. My pleasure, Sensei, Midoriya responded, while bowing in respect to the monitor. Back at Ua. 16, 17, and the other two are in the infirmary, said Naomasa, counting all the students outside the training building. The police had come to pick up and arrest the beaten villains and take them to jail. Detective, Asui said, approaching Naomasa. Yes, responded Naomasa, looking up from his notebook. Is it okay for me to ask who was injured in the villain's assault? Asked Asui with a concerned look on her face. Well, both of Aizawa's arms were broken to splinters, and he is suffering from overusing his quirk and may suffer from blurred vision. However, only time will tell. 13 is suffering from lacerations all over his back, and All might only have a couple scratches. As for your classmates, Bakugo and Kirishima were just found in the dome unconscious not too long ago. Kirishima is suffering from minor injuries, however Bakugo had a broken jaw and is being treated by the school nurse. Naomasa explained to Asui and the rest of the class. Bakugo and Kirishima both lost. Aren't Bakugo and Kirishima crazy strong? Muttered some of the students, clearly surprised. Students, if you have any information to tell us, make sure to inform the principal. Be safe out there, Naomasa said as he walked over to talk to Nezu, the principal of Ua. Principal, I know this may seem sudden, but if it's okay with you and the other teachers, I would like a word with them all as soon as possible. It's regarding the attack, and someone who I think may be involved, Naomasa asked Nezu, showing the utmost respect to the principal. Of course. I would like all teachers present, however, as soon as Aizawa is out and about, I will arrange a meeting. Nezu responded. Thank you. Now I'll be taking my leave, principal. Have a good evening, Naomasa said as he bowed and went back to his squad car. 2 days later. All the teachers at Ua were in a conference room. Thank you all for meeting me here. As you all know, Ua and its students were attacked. From what we know now, the 3 main villains involved are working under an alias. Furthermore, we have searched all their names and quirks in every registry and came up with nothing. This means they are all underground villains, no names, no records. Shigaraki Tamura is who we believe to be in charge of the attack on Ua. Kirigiri and Deku were his accomplices. Shigaraki Tamura possesses a disintegration, while Kirigiri has a warp gate. He was the one who was able to get them into Ua undetected. As for his final ally, I would like to discuss him last, Naomasa explained as he reviewed his notes before continuing. Naomasa explained the rest of the situation to the teachers, while receiving their feedback on the situation. Now I mentioned Shigaraki Tamura's final associate, Deku. As far as we know, we don't know what quirk he possesses at this moment, Naomasa said, looking around the room. All Might was interested in this villain in particular since he was able to keep up with his speed and was the one responsible for hurting 2 of his students. I recently spoke to multiple students on this particular villain, and I can now say for certain he was the one responsible for Bakugo and Kirishima's injuries, Naomasa explained. So this is the villain who beat one of our top students. He seems very dangerous indeed. I am extremely glad Bakugo and Kirishima did not receive fatal injuries. However, what puzzles me is why this villain didn't kill our students," said Nezu, looking over to Naomasa. "I may have an idea, Principal. I was assigned an investigation regarding the hero killer, and can now say the villain who was working alongside Stain is the same villain. Stain, as we all know, is a murderer with a crusade to purge fake heroes. Stain went silent, however, for nearly a year for no apparent reason. However, when he reappeared, he now had a sidekick. In a twist of events, Stain's sidekick showed no interest in murder. Deku, his sidekick, even held Stain back from finishing his victims during his time with him. I also received a statement from the student Tsuyu Asui regarding this particular villain, stating he advised and allowed her to escape before being killed by Shigaraki Tamura. Also mentioned the villain sounded fairly young. Right now I have one theory, but it is too early to say at this moment. However, I can say for certain he is the same age as the students in Class 1A. Naomasa explained to the heroes. "Such a shame seeing someone so young turn into a villain," said Nezu sadly as he looked down at his paws. "So young," thought All Might as he clenched his fist in frustration. "He allowed students to escape? He doesn't murder? He doesn't sound much like a real villain to me," said Vlad King. "With the right push, I believe he can become a hero," said Nezu. "Yes, but even so he is still a villain, so do not hesitate to bring him to justice," said Naomasa as he collected his notes. "That was all I wanted to talk about at this time. Thank you all for your time," Naomasa concluded as he bowed to the heroes. It's still too early to assume Deku and Midoriya are the same person. But for now, I'll collect more evidence. "I promise I'm going to bring you your son, ma'am," Naomasa thought as he walked to his car. In Class 1A, US Sports Festival is approaching. This is your chance to show the world and top pros what you are made of. Show them what you got. This is a big step into becoming a hero," said Aizawa, who looked much like a mummy with all his bandages. All of Class 1A began to radiate energy. "I'm pumped," shouted Kirishima. "Even after what just happened, I'm ready for the future," responded Zero quickly. Bakugo was excited about the festival, however, he was extremely angry at himself for losing to a villain. "If I ever see that guy again, I'm going to kill him," Bakugo said in his head as he broke his pencil in his hand. In Midoriya's apartment. "I'm kinda anxious for my next assignment. Being out in the field is better than being holed up or hiding in the shadows," said Midoriya out loud as he arranged all his quirk files. Midoriya had many cabinets full of data on heroes and villains, alike, each explaining a quirk's uses, improvements, and weaknesses. "Deku, my boy. Good afternoon, I have an assignment for you," said All for One as the monitor mounted on the wall switched on. "Ah, Sensei, it's always a pleasure," said Midoriya as he bowed towards the monitor. "Likewise, Deku. Now, as for your assignment, I'm going to have you attend the US Sports Festival and record some quirks for the league," said All for One, looking towards Midoriya. "I understand, Sensei, I'll do my best," responded Midoriya, nodding in confirmation. "One more thing, Deku. I'm going to have Kurogiri cut your hair and dye it black. We can't have you being spotted after what happened at UA," explained All for One. "That's not a problem. Have a good day, Sensei," replied Midoriya as the monitor switched off. I hope the assignment goes smoothly," sighed Midoriya as he fell on his back on his bed. At the UA Sports Festival, Midoriya now had short black hair and was wearing his blue contacts along with a normal red sweater. "The festival seems very lively. Maybe I could get a bite to eat while I find my way to my seat," thought Midoriya as he dodged the masses and found his way to the stadium. "This one of the best seats. Guess Sensei isn't short of money," said Midoriya as he looked over to his seat. All eyes are on Class 1A for surviving the league's attack. On one hand, they have more pros watching them, and on the other, everyone will call out every single mistake. I don't know why they handed everyone raffle tickets, they never did this before. Doesn't matter, I'm not here to have fun. Now then, show me your quirks, said Midoriya as he pulled out his notebook and a voice recorder. Midnight took the stand and began to speak. Quite the hero they have. People like you make heroes look bad, Midnight, said Midoriya, giving off an annoyed face. And your student representative is from Class 1 Akatsuki Bakugo, said Midnight as Bakugo slowly took the stage. The athlete's oath. Make no mistake, I'm going to crush you all and take first. Make yourself good stepping stones for me, said Bakugo as he walked off the stage with an angry expression. That's Kachan, I guess, said Midoriya as he looked down at all the students. The festival took place, and every student with a noteworthy quirk was recorded by Midoriya. All the festival finals took place and ended with Bakugo taking first place. Midoriya made sure to record the entire festival on his TV, just in case. So Kachan won, huh? Guess that Todoroki hates his left side. Probably has something to do with his father Endeavor, murmured Midoriya to himself, taking down more notes on the finalists. The medals were soon given out to the top 3, but before the festival could finish, Midnight spoke up. Everyone, if you look at your raffle ticket. We will now reveal the winner, said Midnight as she began to read off the winning number. Maybe they will give out some big prize, thought Midoriya as he looked at his ticket. 5F3OC4. If you have this ticket, please come on down center stage, said Midnight. 5-90, huh? Guess I lost, said Midoriya as he got up from his seat and began to walk down the stairs to the exit. It seems as if 5F3OC4 did not show up. The next number is 5-90, please. If you have this number, come on down, said Midnight loudly. Midoriya's ears piped up at the sound of his number being called. Well, what do you know, said Midoriya as he walked up to the security and showed them his ticket. The festival security escorted him to the center stage. Now the prize. The raffle winner gets a photo with Class 1A, said Midnight as she signaled Midoriya over. Shit. Why can't it be a normal prize like a stupid plushie or food? God, I wish it was food, Midoriya cursed to himself, walking to Midnight. Now then, what's your name? And how old are you? Asked Midnight. My name is Haru Tanaka, and I'm 15, said Midoriya, masking his voice. Haru, are you ready for your photo with Class 1A? Said Midnight. Sure, said Midoriya, standing at the center of the class. All of Class 1A smiled for the photo with the exception of a select few. The photographer quickly took the photo and handed a copy to Midoriya. Thanks, said Midoriya as he grabbed the picture and walked to the exit without saying another word. Midoriya couldn't lie to himself. A part of him still wanted to be a hero and have a normal life. Don't look back, Midoriya. That isn't your path anymore, said Midoriya to himself as he walked back to his apartment. Purge. I must purge all the fake heroes, said Stain as he looked over his latest victim, the pro hero Ingenium. Midoriya was laying on his bed, looking at the photo he took with Class 1A. Midoriya never realized it until now, but his entire demeanor had changed. He was no longer the happy-go-lucky kid, with eyes filled with hope and wonder. Midoriya now had cold fish eyes and a rather bland expression. The only time Midoriya ever got a genuine smile was when he was in a good fight or doing quirk analysis. Why do I still have this photo? Said Midoriya as he took another glance at the photo in his hand. He crumbled up the photo and put it in the trash. Deku, shouted Shigaraki into the intercom that was connected to Midoriya's room. Yay, responded Midoriya. Get your ass to the bar now, Shigaraki shouted once more and left the intercom. Guess I better go, said Midoriya as he made his way to the league's main hideout. Shigaraki and Kurogiri were wounded, much to Midoriya's surprise. Midoriya made his way back to the bar to help up Kurogiri, who was barely able to stand. Kurogiri, what happened? Midoriya questioned Kurogiri as he moved him to a bar stool. We tried to recruit Stain, and we were a little overwhelmed, said Kurogiri as he looked in Shigaraki's direction. GRR, the bastard cut my arm. Hey Deku, Stain trained you right? Shigaraki asked angrily as he made his way to a table. Yea, he trained me, so what? Responded Midoriya as he began to subtly move his hand to his holstered blade. Before Shigaraki could say anything, a devilish smile spread across his face. I want you to go to Hasu Deku. Stain said he might join our group if our views aligned. So go to him and convince him, explained Shigaraki as he tried to hide his smile. Sure, but I'm not sure if even I'll be able to convince him, responded Midoriya. Midoriya quickly made his way back to his apartment to change into his costume. Midoriya knew very well Stain would never join the league no matter what he told him. Regardless, Midoriya did want to see his old mentor and get some fresh air. After putting on his costume, Midoriya quickly returned to the bar where Kurogiri was waiting to teleport him. Kurogiri, I'm ready, said Midoriya as he made last-minute checks to his costume. Very well, Deku, responded Kurogiri as he opened up a mist portal and dropped Deku off on top of a building. Thank you, said Midoriya as he looked over the city. Good luck, Kurogiri responded as he teleported back to the League's hideout. Hey, I get to kill two birds with one stone, chuckled Shigaraki as he eyed the three gnomes before him. Midoriya was traversing rooftops looking for Stain when he received a phone call from an unlisted number. Hello? Midoriya answered. Hey kid, it's me, responded Stain. Midoriya was caught by surprise to hear his old mentor's voice again. It had been a couple of months since he last heard from him. Stain? Why are you calling me? Asked Midoriya, pulling the phone a bit closer to his face. Listen, I think I need your help with this guy I'm chasing. Plus, I know you are in Hasu looking for me, explained Stain. Midoriya knew Stain wouldn't change his mind, but he did want to catch up with his old teacher. Send me your location, I'll be right over, said Midoriya as he received a text with Stain's current location. Be quick, I just cornered him into an alley, said Stain as he hung up the call. What does Stain need my help with? It can't be some random hero, pondered Midoriya as he made his way to the location given to him. Midoriya soon reached his destination, only to find Stain was in a heated battle with pro-hero Native. Native was doing his best dodging Stain and his attacks, but it wasn't enough. Stain quickly found an opening and quickly threw a knife at Native's right arm, causing him to recoil in pain. Stain dashed toward the hero, pulling the knife out of his arm, and then proceeded to lick the blood off the stained knife, activating his quirk. Midoriya, out of respect for his mentor and the hero, decided not to interfere with the fight. I don't think you needed my help with this one, said Midoriya as he stepped over the defeated hero. He was paralyzed due to Stain's quirk. Stain ignored Midoriya's words and made his way towards the downed hero. Midoriya knew immediately the current mental state Stain was in at the moment. Stain, don't do this. Not now, said Midoriya as he grabbed Stain's arm. Move, demanded Stain as he swung his arm towards Midoriya. Midoriya was expecting retaliation from his mentor, so he was able to dodge. But before Midoriya or Stain could make another move, they were interrupted. Hero killer, shouted the knight, followed with a kick which connected with Stain's left arm. Stain quickly swung his katana towards the knight's face, knocking off his mask and exposing his face. Underneath the mask, revealed Tenya Ida, a student at UA. A kid. Get out of here, this is no place for children, demanded Stain as he looked towards the assailant. Tenya Ida. He's a student at U. And Ingenium's brother, said Midoriya to Stain as he looked in Tenya's direction. Hero killer Stain, I've been pursuing you. I am, said Tenya before he was interrupted by Stain. Stain lifted his blade directly up to the student's face. Your eyes. You're out for revenge, aren't you? Choose your next words carefully, boy. Despite your age, I won't hesitate to kill you, said Stain menacingly. I am the younger brother of the hero you attacked. Brother to the most amazing hero among heroes. I've come to stop you in my brother's stead. So remember this name with a little time you have left, villain. Ingenium, the hero who will take you down, shouted Tenya as he directed a kick towards Stain. Stain jumped up in the air and kicked Tenya in his arm with his spiked boots, causing him to recoil from the pain. Stain lifted up his right leg and kicked Tenya's head into the concrete, pinning him down and stabbing his arm in the process. "So weak, you and your brother," said Stain as he looked over the defeated student's body. "Shut up. The damage you did means he will probably be crippled for the rest of his life. He was a great hero. He was my hero. He inspired my dreams. I'll kill you for what you did," shouted Tenya as he laid on the floor bleeding. "Idiot. Are you so blinded by your revenge you can't understand the situation you're in, Tenya Ada?" said Midoriya as he took a step forward to the student. Before the student could respond, Midoriya began to speak. "Did you even bother to think if you could save the hero before you? This man is about to be killed, and you are so wrapped in your own quest for vengeance. You've forgotten what it means to truly be a hero. You're wielding your power for your own sake," explained Midoriya as he looked down on the student. Tenya was speechless. His eyes widened by hooded villain's words. "Selfishness is the furthest thing from a hero, Tenya Ada," said Midoriya, taking another step closer to the student. He crippled my brother," clamored Tenya, processing the villain's words. "Would your brother approve of your actions? Stop thinking about yourself for a moment, and consider what your brother would want," Midoriya continued. "Well said, Deku," Stain interrupted. "Ingenium, consider yourself a sacrifice for a better society," said Stain, oozing his murderous intent. Stain slowly lifted his katana over the boy's head. "Stain, wait. You can't, he's just a kid," exclaimed Midoriya as he reached for Stain's katana. Midoriya wasn't close enough to stop Stain. "Shit, I'm not going to be able to stop him. He's going to die," he thought to himself before he was interrupted by a sudden pain in his chest. A winged Namu had slammed Midoriya and Stain into the side of the alley. "Grr Tamura," exclaimed Stain as he picked himself up. "Oh, guess Nomus really are brain dead," said Midoriya as he rubbed the back of his neck. The winged Namu, however, quickly resumed its assault and swooped down using its bird-like feet to grab a hold of Midoriya. Midoriya instantly pulled out his blade and stabbed the winged beast in the chest. Namu, however, did not react to the pain and did a 180 in mid-air and threw Midoriya against a dumpster. "Hee, tonight I will get rid of you both. Deku, Stain, you both annoy me so much," cackled Shigaraki as he watched his Namu fight Midoriya and Stain. Kurogiri personally liked Midoriya, but he had no other choice than to sit and watch. "Stain, make sure to keep these guys paralyzed. After that, lend me a hand," said Midoriya, dodging the Namu's claws. Midoriya couldn't get too close to the Namu without being blown away by the air pressure made by his wings. But he had an idea. "My knife is still stuck in its chest. If I can just grab it and hand it to Stain," Midoriya said aloud as he glanced at the blade stuck in the Namu's chest. Stain's timing couldn't have been more perfect as he jumped up and clipped the Namu's right wing with his katana. The Namu began to plummet to the ground, its right wing now clipped. Midoriya saw his chance and jumped towards the beast, retrieving his knife from its chest. "Stain, catch!" shouted Midoriya as he threw the blood-stained knife to his mentor. "You lose," said Stain as he licked the blade. The Namu fell to the floor, paralyzed by Stain's quirk. Criminals who wave their power idly. Fake heroes consumed by wealth and self-interest. I must purge them from society," said Stain as he walked over to the downed beast, stabbing its exposed brain, killing it instantly. "Grr, why doesn't anything go my way? Everyone is a cheater. They cheated. That brat Deku and Stain," shouted Shigaraki angrily as scratched at his neck furiously. "Shall I take us home, Shigaraki?" Kurogiri asked. "Yeah, yay, take me back. I'm sick of these cheaters," responded Shigaraki, still clawing at his neck. Kurogiri opened a warp gate and teleported back to the League of Villains base. Stain began to walk over to Tenya and Native, who were still under the effects of his quirk. Shit. He's in his bloodlust mode again. I have to get these guys out of here before he kills them, Midoriya said to himself. Midoriya couldn't save both of them, and he wasn't sure how well he would hold up against Stain in his bloodlust state. He had to choose Tenya, Ida, or Native. Shit. I'm sorry it had to come to this. He's just a kid. I can't let someone die so young, said Midoriya as he lifted Tenya onto his shoulder. It's okay. I'm okay with this. I just hope he turns into a great hero someday, said Native, closing his eyes. No. This isn't what I wanted, choked Tenya, looking over to Native, who was prepared for death. Your selfishness caused this, Tenya Ida. Your personal grudge is going to cost Native's life. Learn from this and become a better hero, said Midoriya as he began to walk Tenya out of the alley. No, I don't want this. Take me instead, shouted Tenya as he burst out in tears. Haja. I like that look in your eye, Ingenium. It's the look of self-sacrifice, the face of a hero. Today and only today will I spare you both. However, I must do one thing, said Stain as he began to walk towards Tenya and Midoriya. Midoriya sighed in relief, but he knew all too well what Stain was about to do. Flashback. You will be marked, Midoriya, and you will spread my name, said Stain as he looked over to Midoriya. Now then, show me your chest, demanded Stain. Midoriya took off his shirt and exposed his scar-filled chest. The left side of his chest, right above his heart, was devoid of all scars. Stain raised the knife and carved the letters HK onto Midoriya's chest. Midoriya was used to the pain, but it still hurt. Any normal person would scream in pain. Blood dripped down onto the cold concrete floor. Flashback end. Now then, are you prepared, Ingenium? Said Stain as he looked over to the student, knife in hand. Yes, I am prepared to do anything, said Tenya nervously. Deku, remove his armor and expose his back, demanded Stain as he looked over to Midoriya. Midoriya nodded and removed Tenya's armor and shirt. Remember this day, Ingenium, the day you were reformed into a true hero, by the hero killer Stain, shouted Stain as he pressed his blade against Tenya's back. Tenya was terrified and nervous, but he knew this was the only way out. Don't worry, Ingenium, you'll be all right, I promise, Midoriya said softly, taking off his hood and metal mask, exposing his softened face. Tenya calmed down at the sight of Midoriya's face and words. Stain, without warning, began to carve a huge S onto Tenya's back. Tenya began to scream in agony as the blade began cutting his back. Tenya soon passed out after 15 seconds due to the pain. Native only watched in horror as a 15-year-old cried in agony in front of him. This may have been a bit overboard, Stain, said Midoriya as he looked at the huge S on the teen's back. Midoriya wiped the blood and applied his advanced ointment to the cut. Stain, we should get out of here. The police will be here any minute now, said Midoriya as he struggled to put Tenya's shirt back on. Deku, my student until we meet again, said Stain as he parkoured his way up the building and disappeared. Make sure nothing happens to him, Native, said Midoriya as he put on his metal face mask and hood. Midoriya quickly made his way up the building and left just before the police arrived. The next morning, Midoriya was organizing his files when the monitor mounted on his wall turned on. Deku, I need to speak to you in private. Please come to this address, said All for One. The monitor turned off, leaving Midoriya confused. That was weird. I wonder what Sensei wants, Midoriya said as he received a text with an address from an unlisted number. I guess I better go right away, said Midoriya as he walked out of his apartment. 1 hour later, Midoriya reached the location. It was an abandoned warehouse in Hasu. Guess this is it, said Midoriya as he made his way inside the warehouse. The warehouse was dimly lit, but Midoriya could make out multiple tubes, each occupied by a Namu. Deku, I'm glad you're here, said All for One sitting at a table. He was connected to multiple life support devices. Sensei Midoriya said, bowing in respect to the man. Likewise, Deku, please sit. Said all for one. Midoriya took a seat across from him. You have pushed this group of ours to new heights, and for that I thank you. I'm sure you are informed of the capabilities of my quirk, so I'll skip the details. As a gift from me to you, I will grant you any quirk you desire. Explained all for one. Midoriya was surprised at the offer. He could have any quirk he wanted, his lifelong dream to be like everyone else. However, Midoriya's thoughts quickly turned sour, as he remembered all the bullying, neglect, pain, and suffering everyone put him through. Sensei, I'm honored, but I can't accept this gift. If I accept this power, I will succumb to the society that abused and neglected me. Explained Midoriya. I see, that is admirable, Deku, but I must gift you with something. Said all for one firmly. Midoriya was at a crossroads. He didn't want anything in particular. In fact, he wanted to visit his mother, but at this moment in time, it was impossible. Wait, there may be something, said Midoriya, looking over at the Namus. At the hospital, Ida was being treated by the nurses when two men walked into the room. Tenya, Ida. I am Kenji Tsuragami, and this is Naomasa Tsukachi. We have some questions for you, said Kenji, as he closed the door behind him. Of course, responded Tenya. I won't beat around the bush, Tenya. This is about the hero killer and what happened that night, said Naomasa. I'll do anything to aid you officers. Ask away, said Tenya firmly. Thank you, Tenya. Now, why did you pursue the hero killer? Naomasa asked. I was seeking revenge for my brother Ingenium. Enraged by my brother's condition, I wanted to make the hero killer pay for what he did. I was so blinded by vengeance, I didn't realize I was becoming less and less of a hero, explained Tenya. Naomasa began to write down everything in his notepad. What you did was reckless and foolish, but I'm glad you're alive. One more question, Tenya. Why did the hero killer let you live? Asked Naomasa, looking directly at the student. He wanted to kill me at first, but his ally stepped in and began to move my body away from the hero killer. Stain was prepared to kill Native in my place. I begged him to take me instead, and he made a deal with me, said Tenya, cringing at the thought of Stain. An ally, you say? What deal did he propose? Asked Naomasa. His ally was no older than 15. I know because he took off his mask and hood to show me his face. He had short black hair and green eyes, explained Tenya, looking over at his bandaged arm. Naomasa's ears perked up at the sound of green eyes, but he needed to make sure. Tenya, can you recall the name of Stain's ally? And please tell us the deal you made with Stain, said Naomasa. Tenya shuddered at the thought of his scar. The deal. The deal was he could carve this into my body, said Tenya as he took off his shirt and revealed his back. A large scar could be seen, a giant letter S. Naomasa and Kenji were both caught off guard at the size of the scar. It looked painful. As for his ally, his name is Deku, and he saved my life and steered me back into the path of a hero, Tenya explained. Thank you, Tenya. That was all the questions we had, said Naomasa as he made his way into the hallway. Kenji quickly followed after. Flashback asterisk. Asterisk ding dong asterisk. Mom, it's Detective Naomasa. I have some questions to ask you, said Naomasa. The door opened slowly to reveal Inko Midoriya. She seemed to have slimmed down a bit and looked a bit pale. Ah, Detective, please come in. Some tea? Asked Inko as she signaled Naomasa inside. No thank you, Mom. I have coffee, said Naomasa, hanging his hat at the entrance. I hate seeing people like this, said Naomasa to himself as he walked into her house. Naomasa began to update Inko on Midoriya's case and any leads they may have on her son and his disappearance. Well, ma'am, that's all I have at the moment, said Naomasa as he retrieved his hat from the entrance. Thank you so much, Detective. Please find my baby, said Inko as a single tear rolled off her cheek. Naomasa simply smiled and nodded. But before he could leave, one last question arose in his head. Mom, before I go, does the name Deku mean anything to you? Asked Naomasa. Inko flinched at the name. She knew Deku was the nickname Bakugo gave Midoriya to tease him. Inko insisted in intervening, but Midoriya would always put on a smile and say everything was all right. Yes, it's the nickname Bakugo gave Midoriya to tease him. It means someone who can't do anything, said Inko, tearing up. I see. I swear I'll find your son, said Naomasa. Flashback end. So Deku is Midoriya, huh? I kept my promise. I found your son. I found Midoriya, said Naomasa, looking at a photo of Midoriya and the hooded villain Deku. Somewhere in Hasu. So who's on the list, Kurogiri? Asked Midoriya. A man named Dabai. He's a male mid-20s, I'd say. He possesses a pyrokinetic quirk, explained Kurogiri as he handed Midoriya a photo of Dabai. With a face like that, he will be easy to find. Did he mention where we will be meeting him? Asked Midoriya, scanning the area for Dabai. He said in an alleyway near the train station, responded Kurogiri. Midoriya and Kurogiri soon made their way to the alleyway. It was a dark and damp alley full of trash. He should be here, Kurogiri said, looking down the alley. He is there. Come on out, Dabai, and put those flames out, Midoriya said, firmly standing his ground. Dabai slowly appeared out of the darkness with both his hands up. You got me, O League of Villains, said Dabai. So Dabai, are you willing to join the League? Asked Kurogiri. If our ideals meet, maybe I'll join, Dabai responded. What exactly are your ideals, Dabai? What drives you? Midoriya asked. I follow the hero killer's mission, to rid the world of fake heroes, replied Dabai. I see. Well, Stain himself trained me and taught me all I know. I too believe the term hero has lost its purpose, explained Midoriya. Stain trained you. Wait, you're the Deku. I saw your fight with Captain Celebrity on the internet. A lot of people would kill to be trained by Stain, Dabai said. Yes, Stain trained me, and Deku is my villain name. Now what is your decision, Dabai? Asked Midoriya. I want to meet your boss first. If we see eye to eye, I'll join, responded Dabai. Excellent. However, if you do not mind, we have 2 more stops to make, explained Kurogiri, opening up a portal. That's fine, said Dabai as he stepped through the portal. Who's next? Asked Midoriya. Kenji Hikiishi. She goes by Magni, brutal, and is accused of murder, said Kurogiri. She sounds fun, said Midoriya, showing his disinterest. Midoriya, Dabai, and Kurogiri soon teleported to their desired location. A large figure could be seen beating down a man in the distance. Kurogiri approached the large figure cautiously. Excuse me, but could you be Magni by any chance? Kurogiri asked the large woman. Yay? What's it to you? Responded Magni, turning to the group of 3. We are the League of Villains and, said Midoriya before he was interrupted by Magni. Say no more, I'm in, said Magni. Oh, may I ask why you want to join? Asked Midoriya. I want to join the League, so I can be free to live the life I choose, responded Magni, cleaning her blood-stained hands on her shirt. I see. Well, that is not a problem. The League will provide you with that and much more. Now then, please follow us through the portal, said Kurogiri, as he opened the portal, allowing Magni and Dabai to step through. That was easier than I thought. So who's left, Kurogiri? Asked Midoriya. We only have one left, Himiko Toga. She has a transformation quirk and appears to be fairly young, explained Kurogiri, handing a photo over to Midoriya. So where do we meet her? Asked Midoriya. On the rooftop of a high school. It is currently 5 p.m., so we needn't worry about the staff, explained Kurogiri. Okay. But before we go, I need to do something, said Midoriya, as he made his way to the man Magni was beating up. The man was unconscious, but his wounds seemed serious. There is no reason for you to die here, said Midoriya, as he took out his healing balm and began to clean and treat the man's wounds. "All right, let's go, Kurogiri. I'm done here," said Midoriya as he walked towards the portal. Kurogiri simply nodded in confirmation, and they disappeared into thin air. "Why are we at a high school?" asked Dabai, looking over to Midoriya and Kurogiri. "We were told to meet someone at this rooftop," said Midoriya, looking around. The rooftop was fairly large and had many bushes scattered throughout the roof. "Yes, she should be here," said Kurogiri. "She concealed her presence. Smart, I can't even sense her. I'll need to use it. Mental state to detect this girl." Flashback to combat training. "Today I'm going to start teaching you a special technique, Midoriya. This technique will enhance your mind and body to react 15x faster than the average person," explained Stain as he gestured Midoriya to sit across from him. "That sounds impossible, Stain. How could you?" asked Midoriya before he was interrupted by Stain. "Shut up and learn," Stain demanded. Midoriya quickly shut his mouth and gave his full attention to Stain. "Now, breath in and out slowly. Feel the air enter and exit your body. The particles in the air touching our bodies," Stain explained. Midoriya did as he was told and was amazed. He could feel every single thing throughout his body. He could hear everything, his heart and Stain's. Tapping into your senses is not easy. In time you will be able to do incredible things, kid. But when you do tap into it, it's a feeling like no other, Stain explained. 3 weeks later. "Remember what I taught you? You ready?" Stain asked Midoriya. "Yes," replied Midoriya. Midoriya began to slow down his breathing, allowing his body to feel and hear everything around him. "Now," shouted Stain as he threw his knife straight towards Midoriya's face. Midoriya quickly opened his eyes and finally saw what Stain was talking about. The knife was moving in slow motion. Midoriya moved his face to the side as to dodge the knife. The knife quickly zipped by Midoriya's face. Stain and Midoriya smiled. "Good stuff, kid. However, don't push it. You can only hold it for so long, and it has its drawbacks. While in this state, your attacks will be weak as hell, so I advise you don't attack. In time, you will be able to hold the mental state for at least 25 minutes, explained Stain. "Is there any more techniques I should know about, Stain?" asked Midoriya. "Well, I never said there was just one mental state. I can tap into vigilance and slaughter," Stain explained to his student. "Slaughter? That one sounds nice," said Midoriya with a chuckle. "It's basically bloodlust turned up to 11. I doubt you will ever use it, however. For now, just focus on the one you know now, kid," Stain said, tossing Midoriya a notebook full of research on mental state. Flashback end. Midoriya closed his eyes and began to feel everything around him. "There you are," Midoriya said aloud as he quickly turned around to grab a petite blonde girl by her wrist, throwing her away from him. Magni and Dabai were impressed at Midoriya's reaction speed and awareness. "You're cute. I'm Toga," said Toga as she dashed towards Midoriya, knife in hand. "Great, a crazy one," said Midoriya as he dodged the knife. Midoriya swiftly got behind Toga, taking the knife out of her hand, and positioned the knife next to her neck. "That's enough. You lost," said Midoriya. "Guess Stain really did train you. I can see some of his moves in you," said Dabai. "This kid was trained by the hero killer," Magni added. "Yes, that is correct," Kurogiri confirmed. Toga began to blush uncontrollably, and her face went bright red. "Ah, Stainy, you trained with Stainy. I want to see his blood. I want to be like him," Toga said manically. Midoriya was confused and uneasy. The girl seemed mentally unstable. "You know, I really like blood," said Toga. Toga slowly caressed Midoriya's hand, which held the knife. "The warmth, the taste," said Toga as she began to press the knife against her throat and began to cut across slowly. "What the fuck is she doing?" Midoriya thought as he let go of the knife. "I want to see your blood," shouted Toga as she grabbed the knife and stabbed Midoriya in the leg. Midoriya didn't flinch or react to the pain. Instead, he brought Toga towards him and punched her square in the jaw. knocking her out cold. Not as smooth as I wanted it to go. But we got the job done, said Midoriya, looking over to the unconscious girl. Kinda, Midoriya said, shrugging his shoulders. Forgive me, Deku. I could not intervene. You were much too close to Toga for me to open a portal, explained Kirigiri. No, it's fine, Kirigiri. Let's just take them back to the hideout, said Midoriya, pulling the knife out of his leg. Magni and Dabai were stunned and impressed. Someone so young possessed such fighting ability and will. Kirigiri opened a portal back to the League hideout. If you all would please step through the portal, Shigaraki Tamura will be awaiting our arrival, said Kirigiri. Midoriya lifted Toga onto his shoulder and walked through the portal, followed by Dabai and Magni. Back at the League of Villains hideout. We have returned with the new recruits, Shigaraki Tamura, said Kirigiri. About time, said Kirigiri as he finished stacking his house of cards. Tamura turned to look at the group of recruits and Deku. He couldn't help but smile at the sight of Deku injured. Looks like the blondie is coming around, said Dabai as he signaled over to Toga, who was regaining consciousness. All right, it was nice meeting you all, but I've done my part here. Sorry for making a mess on the floor, Kirigiri, said Midoriya as he began to make his way to his apartment. It's no problem, Deku, said Kirigiri as he mopped the blood off the floor. In Midoriya's apartment, Midoriya was putting on the final stitch in his leg. What a day. At least Dabai seemed reasonable, said Midoriya as he put his medical supplies away. Back at UA. You're all going to summer camp, Aizawa announced. Those who failed the practical exam. This camp is for you, Aizawa explained as he eyed 5 students in particular. Well, regardless, I'm glad everyone will be able to go, Ojiro added. Class 1 quickly began to talk about supplies and clothing. Tenya was unusually ecstatic. You're awfully energetic, Tenya, said Ochako, walking over to Tenya. Yes, we are heroes after all, responded Tenya energetically. I know. We should all go shopping tomorrow, suggested Toru happily. All of Class 1 agreed to meet the next day at the mall and buy whatever they needed for camp together. At the Midoriya household, 9 p.m. Inko was cleaning her dish when she heard a knock at her door. Who could it be at this hour? Inko asked herself as she made her way to the door. Inko slowly opened the door to reveal Naomasa. Good evening, ma'am. May I come in? Asked Naomasa. Of course, detective. Please make yourself at home, responded Inko, quickly opening the door for him. You may want to sit down for this, said Naomasa, taking off his shoes and hanging his coat. Inko was afraid of the news she was about to receive, but she proceeded to sit at her couch, preparing for the worst. Mom, said Naomasa. Here it comes, said Inko to herself, closing her eyes tightly. I found Midoriya. I found your son, said Naomasa. Huh? Said Inko, shocked at Naomasa's words. Yes, you heard me right. I found Midoriya, and he's alive and well, said Naomasa, handing a photo of Midoriya. You found Izuku? You found my baby, cried Inko, as she got up from the couch and fell to her knees. Ma'am, are you okay? Asked Naomasa, getting up from his seat. I'm fine. I'm just so happy. But why does he look so different? His hair and his whole demeanor are different, said Inko, looking at the photo of Midoriya. About that, Midoriya unfortunately has become a villain, explained Naomasa. A villain? But Midoriya was obsessed with heroes. He would never become a villain, responded Inko. Midoriya was missing for a year. People can change, said Naomasa. My baby a villain? It's all so much, choked Inko, picking up a framed photo of Midoriya. He was smiling and his eyes were full of happiness then. The photo of him now, however, told a different story. Midoriya is a villain, yes. However, he has not committed any major crime. In fact, he has done more good than harm. Naomasa replied, showing Inko her son's criminal record. Izuku always wanted to help anyone in need. I'm glad that side of him hasn't changed, Inko sighed in relief. Although Midoriya hasn't done any major offenses, he's still a villain, and we will bring him to justice," said Naomasa firmly. I understand," Inko replied. The next day. "Good morning," Kurogiri, Deku greeted as he took a seat at the bar. "Good morning, Deku," Kurogiri replied, serving Midoriya his usual breakfast. "Deku, I forgot to mention, Shigaraki wanted to see you. He said to meet him at the Kiyoshi Ward Mall later today," Kurogiri said as he shined a shot glass with a piece of cloth. "What does he want now?" asked Midoriya as he finished his breakfast. "I'm not sure myself. However, the meeting yesterday with the two recruits nearly ended in bloodshed. That might be the reason," Kurogiri responded, picking up Midoriya's plate. "I see. Thanks for the breakfast, Kurogiri. I'll be heading out now," said Midoriya as he got up from the bar stool. "My pleasure, Deku. Be wary of Kurogiri. He left quite agitated earlier. You know how irrational he can be when things don't go his way," Kurogiri stated, setting down the glass. "I'm always on guard, Kurogiri," replied Midoriya, walking out the door. "Always," said Midoriya as he made his way to the train station. At Kiyoshi Ward Mall. "All right, I have to blend in," said Midoriya as he made his way into the mall. Midoriya changed his entire demeanor the moment he entered the mall. He changed his usual bored expression to a happy-go-lucky teen out shopping on a weekend. "All right. Now where is Shigaraki?" said Midoriya in a low voice as he made his way through the crowd. The mall was extremely crowded on weekends, so navigating through the crowd without bumping into someone was nearly impossible. Midoriya was making his way through the crowd when a tall teen with glasses bumped into him. He was accompanied by two girls and a red-haired boy. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see where I was going," said the boy as he turned to look at the person he bumped into. "Don't worry about it, Tilda," replied Midoriya in a cheery voice. Midoriya instantly recognized the group. It was Tenya Ida, Ochako Uraraka, Mina Ashido, and Ijiro Kirishima. "You're," said Ida, recognizing Midoriya instantly. "Is this a friend of yours, Ida?" asked Ochako. Yay, introduce us," Mina added, unable to contain her excitement. "Does he go to UA?" Kaminari asked. "Oh wow, it's the one of first years. I'm a big fan. Uraraka, your zero gravity is amazing. That fight with that explosion guy was intense," said Midoriya, looking over to Uraraka. "And Mina, your acid is amazing. I bet you can do all sorts of stuff. Your quirk is also super cool," Midoriya added as he directed his attention to Mina and Kirishima. "I can't believe people still remember that, haha," said Uraraka bashfully. Really, you think my quirk is amazing?" asked Mina happily. "I have a pretty basic quirk, but I'm glad you think it's cool," Kirishima added with a smile. "I wanted to thank you," said Tenya, taking a step forward towards Midoriya. Midoriya slowly took a step back, a habit he picked up from Stain. "No need, Tenya. You just needed some help is all," said Midoriya as he took another step back. "Hey, sorry, I have to go," Midoriya continued as he quickly turned and disappeared into the crowd. "Who was that, Ida?" asked Uraraka. "Yay, Ida, I want to be friends with him. He said my quirk was amazing," Mina added. "He was the one who saved me in the hero killer incident. He taught me how a true hero was supposed to act," said Tenya, looking into the crowd of people. The group fell silent. They tried to avoid talking about the Hasu incident and the massive scar Tenya had on his back. Flashback. "Tenya will be suspended for an entire day," Aizawa stated to the students. "What, why?" asked Zero. "I'm getting to that, so pipe down," said Aizawa as his eyes began to glow red. Class 1 fell silent at their teacher's orders. Tenya is currently in the hospital. He tried to exact his revenge on the hero killer on his own. Thankfully, he's alive, but what he did was reckless and stupid. Tenya's actions will not go unpunished," explained Aizawa firmly. "The hero killer? Seriously?" said Kaminari and many other students. Class 1 was awfully quiet the rest of that day. Flashback end. Midoriya was nearing the end of the mall when he spotted a blue-haired teen in a black sweater sitting under a tree. Of course, Midoriya sighed. "I'm here like you asked, Shigaraki," said Midoriya, as he took a seat next to Shigaraki. There was a pause, and only the chatter of people could be heard before Shigaraki spoke. "What makes me and the hero killer different?" asked Shigaraki in a murderous tone. "What does that have to do with anything?" Midoriya replied, setting his hand on his holstered blade. "Those two idiots you brought yesterday, they were staying this stain that I'm sick of it," said Shigaraki. "I hate everything and everyone, but everything I do is being overshadowed by him, and it's really starting to piss me off," Shigaraki continued. "He can say he has a crusade or whatever, but in the end, all he's doing is destroying what he hates." "So, what makes us so different?" asked Shigaraki. "The difference? You kill and destroy for no reason at all. It's mindless. On the other hand, Stain has a purpose, his being to purge all fake heroes and reveal the true heroes of society, an example being All Might. You, however, take everything as a game. You lack conviction, Shigaraki. That's the difference," said Midoriya as he grasped his blade tightly. It's all so clear now. Feels like I've connected all the dots about why the hero killer pisses me off so much. And why you're so fucking irritating. I think I get it now," said Shigaraki, oozing bloodlust. "It's because of All Might," said Shigaraki, shooting a glance at Midoriya, showing his dry face. "All Might? What does he have to do with any of this?" said Midoriya to himself. "The reason these fools can smile and live their lives is 'cause All Might has that stupid grin on his face, smiling wide as to say, 'No one can stop me,'" said Shigaraki with a manic smile on his face. Yay, that's why. You're his apprentice or whatever, and he worships All Might. So that must mean you do too." Shigaraki continued. "You're so annoying, Deku," said Shigaraki as he lunged towards Midoriya. It happened in an instant. Shigaraki lunged towards Midoriya with his right hand aiming for his face. Midoriya pulled out his blade aiming for Shigaraki's neck. Midoriya's blade stopped just before Shigaraki's neck and Shigaraki's hand stopped just before Midoriya's face. The entire altercation happened in mere seconds. Shigaraki and Midoriya both stood down right after. They couldn't bring any more attention to themselves. "I'm going home. I hope you got your answer," said Midoriya as he got up and made his way towards the exit of the mall. "Whatever," replied Shigaraki as he got up began to walk in the opposite direction. The next morning, Midoriya was working on his new weapon when he was interrupted by Kurogiri warping into his room. "Good morning, Deku. I hate to interrupt, but you're needed at the bar," said Kurogiri as he opened a warp gate for Midoriya to step through. "Sure, no problem," said Midoriya. Midoriya and Kurogiri were soon teleported to the bar. Shigaraki was talking to a group of 8 people. "Midoriya, these are the new recruits," said Kurogiri, signaling over to the group of people. "Hello, Dabai, Magni, Toga. Good to see you again," said Midoriya, putting one hand over his heart and bowing slightly. "Hey," replied Dabai. "Hello," replied Magni. "Hi, Deku. It's me, Toga. I think you're cute. But I think a little more blood would make you Watai cuter," said Toga, barely able to control her excitement. Midoriya was still not used to Toga and her weird obsession with blood, but he had to deal with it. Midoriya turned to look at the other 6. "Hello, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Deku," greeted Deku as he bowed. "I'm Jin Bubegawara, but you can call me Twice. Nice to meet you, not really," said Twice, contradicting himself. Midoriya was confused and intrigued by Twice. It was as if 2 people were living in his body. "The name's Muscular, and quit with the bowing shit. I'm here to kill shit, not be friends," scowled Muscular as he made his way to the bar. Midoriya ignored Muscular and directed his attention to a young schoolboy in the group. "Hey, I go by Mustard. Nice to meet you," greeted Mustard as he made his way to a corner. "He seems awfully young," Midoriya thought, examining at the school uniform the boy was wearing. Midoriya was surprised this many people had joined the league. Tamura hated these kinds of people. A pleasure. I am Atsuhiro Sako, but please call me Compress. Greeted Compress politely. Would you like to see some magic? Asked Compress, pulling out 3 colored marbles. Sure, let's see it, replied Midoriya, somewhat intrigued. All right, I have 3 marbles here, red, blue, and green. I want you to follow the red one and tell me where you think it is, explained Compress, showing Midoriya the 3 marbles. Compress was quick with his hands, rolling the marbles in between his fingers and throughout his palm. Now, where is the red one? Compress asked Midoriya. It's in your mouth. Amazing you can speak clearly with a marble in your mouth, replied Midoriya. Compress was surprised Midoriya was able to see through his trick. He took the marble out of his mouth with a smile. You have some good eyes, Deku. Thank you for playing my game, Compress said, putting the marbles back in his pocket. Midoriya gave a small smile and made his way to the next member. It was a reptilian-looking man with pink hair. Hello, Midoriya greeted. But the reptilian shot a mean glance at Midoriya in return, however. Listen, if you got a problem, spit it out, because whether you like it or not, we're in the same group, said Midoriya, stepping up to the reptilian. GRR, Shuichi Iguchi is my name. I go by Spinner. You don't deserve to be Stain's apprentice. You soil his name, Spinner said angrily. I should have been the one to study under him. Instead, he gave the torch to a child, Spinner said angrily. I didn't ask to be Stain's apprentice. He offered me a chance, and I took it. Stop acting like a child yourself and grow up, Midoriya responded coldly. Grow up, shouted Spinner as he threw a punch at Midoriya. Midoriya dodged and grabbed Spinner's arm, throwing him onto the floor and pinning him down. Are you done? Midoriya asked, maintaining his grip on Spinner's arm, prepared to break his arm if he tried anything. Let him go, Deku, before I kill you, said Shigaraki. Midoriya loosened his grip and stood up. Spinner simply growled as he got up from the floor. All right, now that you've all met, Shigaraki will be explaining the plan we will be executing tomorrow morning, Kurogiri said, looking over to Shigaraki. Everyone in the room turned to face the blue-haired teen. We are kidnapping someone of interest to the League tomorrow. You all will be a part of the Vanguard Action Squad. Dabai, you are the leader. Take Compress and Twice with you, explained Shigaraki. Sure, whatever, replied Dabai, showing his disinterest. GRR, Magni and Spinner, you two are together. Blonde brat. Mustard, you two are going alone, Shigaraki said. Okay, replied Mustard in a low voice. All right then. We got this, replied Magni, looking over to Spinner, who simply rolled his eyes. Yees, sir, replied Toga cheerfully. Deku, you're with Muscular, hee, said Shigaraki, hiding his smile. If you say so, replied Midoriya. All right, that is all. We have one more member, Moonfish. But he's not entirely sane. He will be on the battlefield with you all, don't you worry. Kurogiri explained, showing everyone a photo of Moonfish. All right, if that's it. I'm leaving, said Midoriya as he opened the front door and walked back to his apartment. Shigaraki had a huge smile on his face, which was covered by a hand. Tomorrow is going to be great. Hey, Muscular, come here for a second. I got a job for you, said Shigaraki in a twisted voice. In the mountains. The air was cold and crisp. At the top of a plateau stood 5 people. I'm itching to go already. Let's hurry up and move, said Muscular impatiently under his dark cloak. It's too soon. Besides, there is no need to do anything flashy, added Mustard. Yeah, but who died and made you boss? Dabai added. Midoriya was sitting at the edge of the plateau on the left of Toga. So bright. Are they stupid? Oh well, what's done is done, said Midoriya to himself, looking over to the bright source of light in the distance. I mean, this thing is not cute at all, complained Toga, fidgeting with her mask. I designed them. They weren't meant to be cute. But I'll paint it pink for you next time, Toga, Midoriya said, still looking over at the forest. Really? Thank you, Tilda, said Toga, hugging Midoriya from behind. Whatever. replied Midoriya, ignoring her hug. Midoriya was seemingly emotionless. He didn't care for anyone or anything emotionally except his mother, who he still visited, and himself. Who cares? Let's just get to it. My blood is pumping like crazy over here, Muscular growled, oozing his bloodlust. Shut up, you whack jobs, we wait until the rest are here, Dabai commanded. The timing couldn't have been any more perfect. As the other three arrived on the scene, Magni, Moonfish, and Spinner. Sorry to keep you waiting, said Magni, lugging around her weapon, which was wrapped in a cloth. Job, a job, Moonfish said, barely able to speak. Spinner didn't say anything, and simply adjusted his costume. He took a glance over to Midoriya, who was still staring blankly into the forest. Spinner growled lowly at the sight of Midoriya. We will make them understand that their peace rests in our hands, Dabai said loudly, as the entire group, except Midoriya, rallied behind him. The next day at 7 p.m., Class 1A and 1B were going to be having a test of courage in the forest, a simple game that consisted of scaring the other class. Students began to pour into the forest when the smell of burnt wood caught everyone's attention. Dabai and Mustard began their assault and cornered the students. Spinner and Magni went off to assault the pussycats. The rest went off on their own, except Midoriya and Muscular. Well, what do we have here? A face that isn't on the list, said Muscular to the child before him. Midoriya was close behind, watching the interaction unfold between Muscular and the young boy. The mission assigned to them was to assault the teachers if Magni and Spinner were to be overrun. Hey kid, that's a slick hat you got on. How about you trade me for this dumb mask? I'm new, so this was all they had, said Muscular, taking a step forward. The boy took one step back in fear. The boy turned around quickly and ran. Muscular, however, activated his quirk muscle augmentation and dashed in front of the young child. I'm gonna have fun with you, Muscular shouted, augmenting his right arm and throwing a punch towards the child. Muscular, however, was surprised to see Midoriya holding the boy in his arms and setting him down behind him. TCH, that's no fun, sighed Muscular, staring at Midoriya with murderous eyes. What's your name, kid? Asked Midoriya, facing Muscular. K. Koda, said the boy shakily. All right, Koda, stay out of my way, said Midoriya as he straightened himself and prepared himself for Muscular's attack. I love how you already know I'm going to kill you. Now show me some blood, shouted Muscular as he dashed towards Midoriya. Midoriya ducked underneath Muscular's punch and reached into one of his utility holsters. Even if I'm more experienced, I'm still only human. One solid punch from this guy would shatter my body, Midoriya thought as he pulled out a flashbang from his belt and tossed it towards the Muscular man. The flashbang made a loud clang as it went off, making a huge flash of light blinding Muscular. Fuck, shouted Muscular, grasping at his eye. Midoriya put all his force into his legs and dashed towards Muscular with his blade in hand. His muscle layer is thick. I'm going to need all my force and weight behind my blade if I want to do any damage, Midoriya said to himself as he stabbed Muscular in the arm. Muscular recoiled from the pain, but quickly grabbed Midoriya by the collar, throwing him towards the side of the mountain. Fucking hell. This guy isn't even using his full power either, coughed Midoriya. Ha, that one hurt, brat, said Muscular as he walked towards Midoriya, who was on the floor coughing up blood. Before you die, I just wanted to let you know, Shigaraki wanted you dead. But so did I. It works out for both of us, said Muscular as he lifted his arm over Midoriya, winding a punch before he was hit in the head with a rock. Water hose. My mom and dad, did you torture them like this? When you killed them? Choked Koda with tears in his eyes. Whoa, you're their kid. This must be fate or something. They're the ones who gave me this glass eye, said Muscular, showing his glass eye to Koda as he took a few steps in Koda's direction. Because of people like you, things always end up like this, Koda shouted at Muscular, who was unfazed by the child's words. Brats like you sure know how to pass the blame. That's no good. I don't really hold a grudge against them. I killed them like I wanted to in the end. They tried to stop me. We all did our best and had to deal with the results. What's worse is when you can't put your money where your mouth is. Muscular continued getting closer to Kota, who in turn took a few steps back. Like your mommy and daddy, shouted Muscular, aiming a punch towards Kota. Midoriya was behind Muscular in an instant. But Muscular predicted it and threw a punch backward towards Midoriya. Ah, I knew you'd attack me, you quirkless piece of trash. I have speed and power, shouted Muscular, turning to face Midoriya. Midoriya dodged Muscular's punch, using the large man's arm as footing to dash towards him again. Murder, without conviction, is the greatest sin. Death, yes. Yes, death is the only cure for the sick. Such as yourself, said Midoriya, emanating an insane amount of bloodlust. Muscular's confident demeanor switched to fear at the sight of Midoriya and his sheer intent to kill. Midoriya lodged his arm into one of Muscular's muscle fibers and lifted his blade. Now, your speed is meaningless, said Midoriya as he slashed at Muscular's face with his blade. Muscular brought his head back, barely dodging the blade by an inch. He was cut on his forehead and blood began to spill throughout his face. Muscular grabbed Midoriya by his arm and threw him towards Kota. This kid. Am I afraid? Muscular asked himself as he looked down at his hands, which were shaking uncontrollably. Midoriya lifted himself off the ground and took a single step forward, before stopping suddenly. What just happened? Asked Midoriya as he looked up to see Muscular in front of him, reaching into his pocket. Midoriya then remembered Stain's words. Slaughter. It's basically bloodlust turned up to 11 inches, Midoriya remembered, as he looked at his hands covered in blood. You pushed me to this state. Playtime is over, Deku. I'm using my serious eye, said Muscular as he put on a red glass eye. Shit. Kota, grab onto me, Midoriya commanded. Kota quickly followed Midoriya orders and latched onto his back, closing his eyes in the process. Muscular used 100% power and blew a chunk of the mountain's ridge off. The air pressure gave Midoriya a big enough push to send him flying to his desired location. You can't dodge forever, said Muscular, shooting a glance at Midoriya and Kota, who were now behind him. I won't be able to beat him, not like this, said Midoriya, setting down Kota behind him and looking at the crazed man before him. I'll have to test it here, and if it doesn't work, this kid and I are as good as dead, said Midoriya to himself as he reached into one of his utility belts and pulled out a retractable gun and a syringe-looking dart. Now show me some blood, Deku, shouted Muscular as he dashed towards Midoriya. Midoriya grabbed Kota by his shirt's collar and jumped to the side, barely dodging. I have to use it now, and I can't hit his fibers, said Midoriya as he loaded the gun with the dart. Midoriya watched as Muscular turned slowly to face him. Nowhere left to go. That means it's time to die, said Muscular, walking slowly towards Midoriya. All right, please work, Midoriya said to himself as he ran towards Muscular. At least you will die like a man, shouted Muscular, throwing a telegraphed punch towards Midoriya. Midoriya did a spin and dodged the punch. Midoriya pointed the gun at Muscular's neck, which was his only opening. Gotcha, Midoriya said aloud as he pulled the trigger and the gun fired. The dart penetrated Muscular's skin and immediately poured a liquid into him. That was it. Haha, well, it's time to die, Deku, shouted Muscular as he threw a punch towards Midoriya. Midoriya wouldn't be able to dodge the punch, he was much too close. However, as Midoriya prepared himself for death, Muscular's muscle fibers instantly retracted midway through his punch. 3 seconds. That's how long it took to take effect, huh? Said Midoriya, taking a mental note, whilst folding his dart gun and returning it to its holster. Wow, what did you do to me? Asked Muscular, taking a step back. I erased your quirk. Now we can have a fair fight, Midoriya explained. Don't you agree? Midoriya asked with a sadistic look on his face. Flashback. A Nomu with the ability to erase quirks. May I ask why? Asked All for One. Sensei, as you know, I'm quirkless. I am highly trained and I can handle myself. However, I will lose to sheer brute force, for example, All Might, or an individual with a size-increasing quirk. However, I will not use the Namu for missions, more like a lab rat, explained Midoriya, reading his notes on quirk erasing. I see. You wish to even out the playing field, All for One said with a chuckle. More or less, responded Midoriya, staring at the encased Namu. Flashback end. That's right. Take it in muscular, how the rest of us feel, the quirkless and the weak. Do you feel it? The feeling of being powerless, said Midoriya as he dashed toward Muscular. Muscular threw a large right hook towards Midoriya, who was already in his face. Without your quirk, you're just a man, and without training or power, it's as if I'll be finishing off a downed animal, Midoriya explained as he cut Muscular's arms and legs. Muscular grunted at the pain and shock of his quirk being erased. Midoriya was almost bullying Muscular. The difference in ability was too great. Midoriya had experience and training, meanwhile Muscular relied on his quirk and sheer brute strength to win battles. Grrrr, fuck you, shouted Muscular, taking another swing only to miss yet again. Don't struggle, I'll make this quick, said Midoriya as he swiftly got behind Muscular and raised his knife. Midoriya bashed Muscular in the back of his head with the handle of the blade, rendering him unconscious. Go to sleep, said Midoriya as he watched the large man fall to the floor. Midoriya quickly cuffed Muscular and moved him against a wall. Psychopaths like you are better behind bars, or dead, said Midoriya as he looked over Muscular's body. Midoriya turned to walk towards Kota before turning around and kicking Muscular in the ribs, shattering two in the process. Sorry, I slipped, chuckled Midoriya as he turned back around and walked towards Kota, who was hiding behind a rock. You beat him. But you're a villain, aren't you? Asked Kota, wiping away his tears. Just a job, kid. Besides, killing just isn't my style, explained Midoriya as he sat down and took a deep breath. What's your name? Please tell me. And can I see your face? Asked Kota shyly. Deku sighed and took off his hood, revealing his face. He saw no harm in showing a child. Deku. And that's all you need to know about me. Now let's take you to your guardians. Midoriya responded, putting his hood back on and signaling Kota to get on his back. Deku. Cool. Kota said to himself as he latched onto Midoriya's back. Midoriya was making his way through the forest when he saw the large building in the distance. Midoriya was interrupted by Dabai's voice in his ear. Deku? It's Dabai, we got the package. Make it to the center ASAP. We are waiting on you, hurry up, or we're leaving without you, said Dabai into Midoriya's earpiece. He had it muted during his fight with Muscular. Copy, responded Midoriya as he put on his hood again. Aizawa, Vlad, and what was left of the Pussycats were counting the students when Midoriya appeared out of the forest with Kota. Shino, shouted Kota as he hopped off Midoriya's back and towards his aunt. Kota, shouted Shino Aka Mandalay as she opened her arms wide open. All the teachers and students turned to see Midoriya standing in the back, standing behind a tree, watching silently. Midoriya wanted to make sure Kota made it back safely. I'll see you around, kid, said Midoriya as he ran back into the forest and towards Dabai's location. Who was that? Murmured some students from both classes. Kota, who was that? Asked Shino, looking into the dark forest. His name was Deku. He saved me, explained Kota. Tenya's ears perked up at the name. He's a villain, but he saved me from the man who killed my mom and dad. Choked Kota, trying hard to hold back his tears. Muscular. He brought him down? Mandalay asked her nephew. Yay, he was so cool, said Kota as he hugged his Aunt Shino warmly. Deku again, huh? Your name just keeps popping up everywhere, doesn't it? Said Aizawa in a low voice as he turned to care for his students. Midoriya soon found his way back to his group. Everyone was there except for Moonfish, Mustard, and Muscular. Where is Muscular? Asked Dabai. We got separated in the commotion. Did you guys get whoever Shigaraki wanted? And where are Mustard and Moonfish? replied Midoriya calmly. Yeah, we got him. As for Moonfish and Mustard, they got taken out, explained Dabai, pulling out his burner cell phone. Forget Muscular, we can't stay here any longer, Dabai said, signaling Kurogiri on his phone to teleport everyone back. Midoriya turned to face the location where Muscular was. Shigaraki. My patience has drawn thin, Midoriya said in a low voice, walking through Kurogiri's misty portal. Back at the League of Villains HQ. Did you guys get him? Shigaraki asked Dabai. Yay, we got him, replied Dabai in confirmation. The rest of the Vanguard squad filled the bar, including Midoriya. Compress pulled out a marble and presented it to Shigaraki. Why won't you just die? Shigaraki thought, looking over to Midoriya. Well, how do we get him out? Asked Shigaraki angrily. I recommend preparing some proper restraints first. He is very feisty. Compress said. I'll get to it, said Kurogiri, teleporting away. Kurogiri returned minutes later with proper restraints. Midoriya was uninterested for the most part. He was thinking hard about something he had to do. Bring him out, ordered Shigaraki. As you wish, replied Compress, releasing Bakugo Katsuki from his marble. Bakugo was unconscious, so the League had time to tie him down. Midoriya was spacing off. When he turned to see the package they had to retrieve, Midoriya's eyes widened slightly at the sight of his old childhood friend Bully. He was the one we had to retrieve. Are you serious? Midoriya thought to himself, staring at the unconscious blonde boy. Midoriya made sure to hide his surprised face by putting on his hood. Hey, why are you hiding your face? Asked Dabai loudly. I would rather keep my identity secret, is all, Midoriya replied. I can respect that, Dabai said, looking over to Bakugo. Bakugo wouldn't be awake for another 24 hours, so the League of Villain members went to bed and decided to rest up for tomorrow. Midoriya lay awake in his bed, wondering why Shigaraki wanted Bakugo, and how Midoriya was going to get back at Shigaraki for all he's done. The next day. It was currently 6:30 p.m. The League was in the bar talking to Bakugo, except Midoriya. Midoriya, you are needed at the bar, said Kurogiri into the intercom connected to his room. I'm on my way, replied Midoriya, putting on his villain costume. Midoriya made his way to the bar. Spinner was preaching Stain's crusade when Midoriya made his way into the bar. Spinner gave Midoriya a mean look and continued with his speech. Any progress, Kurogiri? Asked Midoriya, making his way behind the bar. Unfortunately, no. The young man hasn't spoken a word, replied Kurogiri, looking over to Bakugo, who wore a mean expression. I see, Midoriya said, looking over to Bakugo. Dabai, untie him, Shigaraki demanded, looking over to Dabai. Huh? Midoriya and Dabai asked in unison. He'll go wild for sure, replied Dabai. It's okay. We got to treat him as an equal after all. Besides, our little UA student here should know he can't win, explained Shigaraki, looking at the restrained teen. Twice, you do it, commanded Dabai. What, me? No thanks. Twice replied quickly before he started contradicting himself and untied Bakugo. Thanks to rules and heroes, we have been suffocated. We have all suffered like you. Join us and break free from the shackles heroes have put upon you, explained Compress to Bakugo. Bakugo sat in his chair, massaging his wrist, when Shigaraki began to walk in his direction. Before Shigaraki could say anything, Bakugo set off an explosion in his face. Thought I was gonna croak of old age. I hate guys like you who can't get to the point. Basically, we want to cause trouble. Join us. I want to win like All Might. And no matter what you all say, nothing will change that, Bakugo explained loudly. Midoriya was silently observing Bakugo and the League's actions. He didn't want any unnecessary attention, or for Bakugo to reveal his real name, putting Midoriya's mother in potential danger. The TV mounted on a wall began to show a live interview of the UA school board and their approach to the situation at hand. Bakugo pursues the title hero more than anyone if the villains can't see that they are foolish. Aizawa explained to the reporter. We are hardly approaching this passively. At this moment, we are working with police to retrieve the student who was taken from us, Nezu added. Ha, good old Yua, said Bakugo looking at the screen. Father, said Shigaraki in a low voice. Midoriya quickly grasped his knife, preparing himself to stop Shigaraki from potentially killing Bakugo. You mustn't, Shigaraki, calm yourself, shouted Kurogiri as he threw himself to stop Shigaraki from doing anything rash. Stay back, all of you. This kid is an important pawn. I thought we might understand each other, said Shigaraki looking over to Bakugo. Nope, Bakugo sneered back. And we just heard about the hero's search for you, so I won't bother trying to convince you anymore, said Shirigaki, relocating his hand on his face. Master, lend me your power, Shigaraki asked the monitor. Very well. A smart choice, Shigaraki Tamura, replied All for One. Little did Shigaraki know the League of Villains hideout was about to be raided by the top heroes in the country. 30 minutes earlier. Okay, we have their location. This will be a swift operation. Endeavor, you will support the police in the back. All Might, Kamui Woods, Edshot, and Gran Torino, you're on point, explained Naomasa to the pros. One more thing, be on the lookout for this villain. He is to be apprehended at any cost, Naomasa added, showing the heroes a photo of Midoriya. All Might's blood went cold at the sight of the young teenager. Meanwhile, the others simply acknowledged the order. The heroes all left the conference room, except All Might and Naomasa. Naomasa, is this villain by any chance Quirkless? All Might asked, choking on his words. Yes, he is. I know the connection you have with him. It wasn't your fault, Toshinori. But regardless of your view on him, he is still a villain, and should be treated as such, replied Naomasa, leaving All Might alone in the room. I'll bring you back, Midoriya, All Might said, fully determined. Flashback end. Kurogiri. Compress, let's put him to sleep again, commanded Shigaraki as he took a step towards Bakugo. I'm impressed with how unwillingly he is to listen to reason, sighed Compress. Bakugo was poised and ready to defend himself when there was a knock at the door. Camino Pizza Ward, said the voice behind the door. The entire league was confused, all except Midoriya. Welp, took them long enough. Guess this is it. The end of the line, Midoriya thought, preparing himself for heroes to come bursting through the door. At that moment, the entire wall was blown into by All Might, followed by Edshot and Kamui. Kurogiri, warp us, shouted Shigaraki, but Kurogiri was quickly bound by Kamui. Kamui had bound all the villains afterward, followed by Edshot and Gran Torino. Dabai attempted to ignite his flame, but was knocked unconscious by Gran Torino. There is no escape for you, League of Villains, for we are here, said All Might. Spinner and many other villains shuddered at the sight of All Might and his determination. All Might, shuddered Spinner, looking at the large man. We're not the only ones you have to worry about. Kurogiri, bring out the Namu, shouted Shigaraki. I'm sorry, Shigaraki Tamura. The Namu set aside for us are gone, explained Kurogiri nervously. Your mischief has gone long enough. You have underestimated Bakugo's spirit and our rage, said All Might, staring at the blue-haired teen. It ends here, Shigaraki Tamura, shouted All Might, looking at the bound villains. Ends here, huh? No, this is just the beginning. You're all justice, this justice that. We're going to remove you from the picture and show you how fragile your peace really is, Shigaraki said to All Might angrily. Kurogiri, shouted Shigaraki. However, the misty figure was knocked out in an instant by Edshot. What just happened? Is he dead? Asked Toga, concerned for her fellow league member. No, he's just unconscious. I just fiddled with his insides, explained Edshot. Just take it easy, Kenji Hikiishi, Atsuhiro Sako, Shuichi Iguchi, Himiko Toga, Jin Bubai Gawara. With a little intel and time we figured out all your identities, said Gran Torino, looking over at the villains. And you, the one with the hood on, said Gran Torino, walking over to Midoriya, who was bound by Kamui. Midoriya was rather quiet and calm during the entire raid. He knew they lost the moment Kamui bound all of them in an instant. Gran Torino made his way to Midoriya and pulled back his hood. It took Bakugo a few seconds to realize who it was under the hood. But when he did, his eyes grew wide at the sight of Midoriya. All Might tried his best to maintain his cool, but his demeanor also changed to a surprised look. It had been more than a year since he has last seen Midoriya. You're choked, Bakugo. Yes, this is, said Gran Torino before he was cut off by Midoriya. If you say my name, I swear you will pay, explained Midoriya in a low, murderous tone. Gran Torino understood how dangerous Midoriya by the change in tone. Gran Torino decided to keep his real name a secret. Gran Torino decided to call him by his villain name. This is the villain Deku. He's wanted by the police, explained Gran Torino. Shigaraki was beginning to lose his cool. He was getting angrier with each passing moment. It can't be. Defeated just like that. No freaking way. Get out of here. And go to hell, Shigaraki said in a murderous tone. Where is he, Shigaraki? Shouted All Might. I hate you, Shigaraki shouted in response. Black liquid, however, began to teleport Namu at the League base and outside the building. Bakugo and every League member was engulfed by the dark liquid and began to teleport elsewhere. All Might tried to grab hold of Bakugo, but it was far too late. He was gone. Niu, shouted All Might at the top of his lungs. Soon everyone was teleported to All for One's location. What was that? Asked Bakugo, looking over behind to see the other villains appearing. Apologies, Bakugo, said All for One, looking over to his disciple Shigaraki. Behind a concrete wall was for you, a students, Tenya Ida, Momo Yaoyorozu, Ijiru Kirishima, and Ochako Yororaka. Kirishima had made a plan to rescue Bakugo along with the help of his classmates. How do we save him? Asked Yororaka. Indeed, it seems rather impossible, Momo added. I have a plan, but we are all going to have to do our part, said Tenya, looking over to his fellow classmates. All right, Kirishima confirmed. You've failed again, Tamura. But that's what I'm here for, so you can get back up and try again. This is all for you. All for One explained, extended a hand to his disciple before he was interrupted by All Might. All for One quickly turned around to block All Might's punch. I knew you'd come, here to kill me again, said All for One as he activated his quirks. All for One's arm began to swell up and punched All Might away, shattering multiple buildings in the process. Sheer power versus sheer power, said Midoriya, watching intently as All Might was nowhere to be seen. All Might, shouted Bakugo. He won't die from a love tap like that, explained All for One. Escape from this place, Tamura, and take the boy with you, said All for One, forcefully activating Kirigiri's quirk, who was on the ground unconscious. Shigaraki, we have to leave, while All Might is busy, suggested Compress. Get the pawn, ordered Shigaraki, looking over to Bakugo. Bakugo began to furiously fend off the villains, making sure as to not let Compress grab a hold of him. Midoriya, on the other hand, was calmly observing everything that happens before him. He no longer owed the League anything. Shigaraki wanted him dead. There was no reason to stick around. Not anymore. Deku, help us now, Shigaraki shouted, being blasted away by Bakugo at the same time. Bakugo had completely forgotten about Midoriya and his new status of villain. He shot a glance over to his old childhood friend. Okay, Midoriya said, making his way over to Bakugo. Midoriya began to engage Bakugo, but only putting enough effort to seem like he was trying. In reality, Midoriya was letting himself be pushed back and blown away on purpose. Yours still so weak, Deku, Bakugo shouted, blasting away Midoriya. This guy, man. Midoriya chuckled, dusting himself off. All right, let's do this, said Kirishima, getting in position. I'm ready, said Tenya. I am as well, Momo added. Let's do this, I hope it works, Yororaka said softly, as to not be heard by the villains. The plan was simple and effective. Uraraka would use her zero gravity on Tenya and Kirishima as to reach maximum speed. Kirishima would be a barrier to break through the concrete wall, and Momo would make a small ramp and set it up beforehand while the villains were distracted. "All right, you guys can do this. Please be careful," said Uraraka, making her way back into the city. Momo made the ramp and set it up in front of the concrete wall when the villains were busy trying to catch Bakugo. "Good luck, you two," whispered Momo as she quickly followed Uraraka. "All right." Recipero burst, shouted Tenya, igniting his engines and smashing through the wall with Kirishima as a battering ram, and using the ramp to get an insane amount of height, thanks to Uraraka's quirk. A loud smash could be heard, and everyone turned to see two boys in midair. "Come," shouted Kirishima, holding out his hand towards Bakugo. Bakugo saw his chance and used his quirk to blast himself towards Tenya and Kirishima. "Are you guys idiots?" Bakugo said with a sneer as he grabbed Kirishima's hand. "Spinner, come here quickly, you two compress," said Magni, signaling them over to her. Magni acted quickly to propel Compress towards the trio in the sky, when he was stopped by a pro hero, able to grow extremely tall. "Get out of here, you brats," said Mount Lady as she fell to the ground with a loud crash. All Might and All for One were still in their heated battle, exchanging blows which caused the whole city to rumble. However, now that Bakugo was gone, All Might could let loose. "Midoriya, I'm sorry, but I can't hold back. I must stop this man here and now," thought All Might as he looked over to Midoriya and then to All for One. "We can still catch them one more shot," said Magni before she was knocked out by Gran Torino. Gran Torino knocked out twice and Spinner quickly after. Midoriya, Tamura, and Toga were the only ones left conscious in the fight. All for One activated Magna's quirk to push them into the warp gate. "Wait, Sensei. With that body you'll," said Shigaraki as he was engulfed by the mist. "Continue the fight, Tamura," All for One said as he turned to face All Might. Midoriya and the rest of the league were soon being pushed into the portal. Gran Torino, however, saw his chance. With all the villains being occupied, he quickly took a deep breath and used his jets at max force to propel himself toward Midoriya, grabbing him in midair. Midoriya didn't struggle or fight back. He simply let himself be taken to the police by the hero. "You're coming with me," said Gran Torino, using his quirk to make his way through the streets and towards the police. "You're quite nimble, aren't you, old-timer?" Midoriya said nonchalantly as he was being pulled by his collar. "Hey, can you do me a favor, hero?" Midoriya asked the Gran Torino. "I don't think you deserve one, villain." Gran Torino responded harshly. "Maybe you're right, but I'll ask you regardless. Can you please tell the police not to release my name to the public?" said Midoriya solemnly. "Why are you so adamant on that, kid?" asked Gran Torino, slowing down his jets. "I worked with the League. I kept my name a secret not for my sake, but for my mother's. If they find out my name, I have no doubt Shigaraki will come after my family," Midoriya explained. "Oh, I see. Well, I'll see what I can do," Gran Torino responded. Midoriya and Gran Torino soon arrived with the police, and Midoriya was arrested. "Take him to the station and wait for Naomasa," Gran Torino explained as he made his way back to All Might. "It's over." "I wonder what Stain is doing," said Midoriya in a low voice, looking out the police car window. Midoriya was transferred to the police station where he was processed and put in a jail cell. The police confiscated all of Midoriya's weapons and gadgets, along with his costume. Midoriya was given an orange jumpsuit. The fight between All Might and All for One had long ended, but the replay was showing on the police station TV. Midoriya had a clear view from his cell. "Look at All Might, standing tall after all that. Amazing," mentioned a police officer eating a donut. "So All for One lost, huh?" "No surprise there. His body was far too fragile," said Midoriya in low voice, watching as All Might struggled to stay standing. Midoriya was not told much aside from his rights, and his interrogation he would be receiving the next morning. Midoriya lay down and fell to sleep instantly. He was tired. Tired of everything.